guys, welcome to Plum Vibrations. This is Tuning In with Sophie.
Hello.
A very familiar face to some of you after 2 years of being on the show last, which is crazy.
Is that how long it's been?
Yeah. In the summer, it would have been.
I think it feels like longer. Do you know what I mean? A little bit.
But also, that time's gone so quickly.
The time has flown.
I was actually transcribing it the other day for the website, and it was so weird. Because obviously that was also the first time we met.
Yeah.
And it was just really interesting to like watch us like talk to one another, and it's that awkward stage. I don't know, it was really like sweet, and obviously like the band came and joined as well.
And
yeah.
we're neighbours now.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Not to dox ourselves in front of the nation, but we are neighbours.
Yeah,
there's
and we just
areas,
see each other in passing, and it's
We do.
a really weird coincidence that after interviewing you at a festival, we're now living like 30 seconds from one another.
Some may say it's fate.
What are the chances though? Because it's such a random area. Again, not going to say it. But I think we actually have doxed ourselves before on the show. We have to cut that out. But yeah, when we've been planning this interview, although it never feels less weird to prep a discussion with someone that we kind of know, but it was really nice to like reflect upon the last couple of years for you. So yeah, like we just said, the last interview was at Truckfest in 2022, and you've come such a long way. Do you ever get the chance to actually stop and assess the progress you've made, or does it just feel like just keep looking forward so that you keep the momentum going?
Yeah, I'm constantly just like moving the goalposts for myself, which is, I don't actually think a very good way to be, because it means that I'm like a very discontent person. Like I'm always just like operating on quite a high frequency. Like I always find something stress me out, even though it's not stressful. Like I'm most people I think don't know that about me, but like as an independent artist, like I'm my own tour manager, I'm make all my own merch, I do like all of this stuff that's just admin, and it's like, so I think because I'm so busy with like all of the like admin stuff, like the financial stuff, like everything else that comes with like running a business, I guess, when you, as this project is, that you kind of are so busy all the time that you forget to like smell the flowers.
The jasmine flowers.
Oh, yeah. That was weird. We said we weren't going to do that today.
In the sing.
But yeah, I definitely don't take enough time to reflect. So it's nice when I do, because it's rare.
I think that's such a painful thing for creatives, and I think it's so normal. Like I think even we have it sometimes. You know, you have that lull, and it's like I feel so stagnant because I'm not doing anything. But I think it's important to then kind of have that second whenever you get it to kind of appreciate where you've come since. Because I'm the same. Like every time, like about once a year, I'm like, I want to do something else. Like I want something to happen and something to celebrate. But it's like, well, if you just celebrate the small things.
Yeah, I think I would be much happier. Why do we not do it? I don't know
know,
why. Like, what is it in our psyche that means we don't do that? It's interesting.
I'm trying to train myself to just like, even if it's a small thing, if it's something I didn't have before, I didn't do before, I'm like, okay, that's a win. It doesn't matter how big it is.
And we spoke about it actually on a Champagne's Whispers episode recently, wasn't it? It was kind of like, especially like women are kind of told not to boast about your successes and like not to like get too into it too quickly. But I do think there is something there, and kind of you don't want to be shouting about like, hey, I actually did this really cool thing, because you're almost like told to just kind of be humble about it and not, I mean, it's the whole like Taylor Swift man like argument, isn't it? It's like if you were stood there and boasting about all of this, you wouldn't be questioned about being too big-headed. But we do want to highlight some of your achievements and milestones, and something that we saw online was actually the Step Up Fund that you'd been awarded, and we previously went to an FAC event, so when we saw that you got it, we were like, wow, that's really exciting.
So nice. They're lovely
and
people.
like, I think the idea of funding is really interesting, and it's something we spoke about before on like a personal level, because it's something that a lot of fans of music don't know about, and I think the fact that funds like this exist is so important. So we kind of wanted to give you the space to talk about stuff that you've learned as an active musician, with this hidden side of trying to, you know, actually make it work with the finances. It's not as easy as just like you sit at your computer and you make the music. There's so much else going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, so much. I mean, like, you caught me on the right day for it, because I've literally come straight here from doing all my tour admin. You know, we're doing an Alfie Temperman support tour with him. I don't think that's been announced. It will be announced.
No.
It gets announced today. So
Oh my god,
you
that's
guys
so
go-
exciting!
you guys go into that.
We will now.
Yeah.
Town.
Oh my
Yeah,
god!
you must come. Yeah, it starts
That
next
is
week.
so weird. We were actually mentioning Alfie earlier.
Oh, that's
There's
such
so
a
much
good like
faith.
combination
Yeah,
of
Oh
good
my
people.
he was you interviewed him and
At the
me
same
at the same
time.
year.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, don't, because it actually can make me cry thinking
You
about that.
must
It's so
come to
happy.
Kentish Town. and
Yeah, we
can-
will.
We can do some stuff backstage. It'll be
Wow.
fun.
Cool. Oh my god.
So yeah, we're going on tour next week.
God.
And I've been doing all the like logistics, admin, stuff like that today. I think there is just so much behind the scenes, like you said, that like people just don't know about, and that's fine. I didn't know about it either, but like, oh my fucking god, it's a baptism in fire. But like, it's cool because I feel like fortunate that I know all of this stuff now. Like, if I feel like if I'd just been thrown into a major label, like when I first started my career and had like infinite budget, people doing everything for me, like, you don't really know how your project runs.
Yeah.
And then like, if that deal dries up, or you don't know how it works, or you don't know where your money's coming from, you don't know where your money's going. So I'm a bit of a control freak. Like, I like to know where all of my stuff is.
You know, you can back yourself if all else fails.
Yeah,
you can run
exactly.
it if you need to.
And I think like, obviously my manager's really helpful, and like my band are really helpful as well with like the live stuff, but you do like have to take some ownership of it, and like it's hard, but it is good. And I think especially as like a female as well, like some people don't expect you to know, like there's so much stuff, because I do all our tour managing, because I don't have enough money to pay someone £400 a day to book some hotels for me. Like,
Yeah,
I love, and I like no shade on people who are professional tour managers. Like when you have like a giant like tour with like loads and loads of logistics going like all over countries and like lots of stuff happening, yeah, you then need to bring someone in to do it because it just gets too much. But like for smaller scale touring, like I've just tried as much as I can to do it all myself, which is a lot. But like I think where if you're starting out, like where you can just do it yourself, just give it a go.
Yeah.
Like it feels like scary, and like there's lots that you don't know, but the only way you can learn that is if you do it. And like there's lots of stuff that I didn't know about, like merch and all that stuff that it just becomes easier the more times you do it. Like this is like my 4th run of merch that I've like designed, printed and stuff, and then it just becomes like you know who your suppliers are, you know who to go to, you know who not to go to, and it just, yeah, you just work it all out. But it does take a bit of time to figure it out, and don't be afraid of fucking it up.
Yeah.
I
I think that's something that we've really aligned with, and I think we met at very similar times in kind of starting projects and just kind of like trying things and hoping it works out. And I think, yeah, it's kind of, you don't think about the creative side of it when you actually have to make things work. And even in like starting this series, it was kind of like, okay, but like, where are we going to speak to people?
Yeah, we
You
have
know?
all these ideas, but then to put them into something that's
Yeah.
like going to work like logistically.
Yeah, and I think I feel like for music especially, that can be even harder to materialise, because for us it's like, well, all we really need is, you know, a phone and mics. Anything else is bonus. But I feel like especially for, you know, especially younger people who are like, I want to start music, but I don't know where to start because I just don't have those things. There's no one there to help me. I think you're a really good sign of, you just do it, give it a go, and exactly that, you just need to try and do things, and you can ask for help when you need it, but it is so important to learn to do those things so that you understand it.
Yeah, and also just like the power of bringing someone else in to help you, like not even necessarily in like a managerial position or like anything like that, or a label, just like if you are starting out as an artist and you have a mate who likes playing around with the camera, like just to go do a shoot together,
Yeah.
like you learn stuff together. Like me and Ed, who do the bulk of the writing now for the project and the band and stuff, like I'd never really written anything before we started working together. He could produce, but he was like nowhere near as good as he is now. I'm sure he won't mind me saying that. Like we both, like we've both just like learned a lot. And I don't think it's like, you don't be afraid to just pull someone in and then learn together. Like you don't have to be working with like the most like prestigious or like the most well-renowned experienced person at the very beginning to like make something really cool. And I think actually sometimes the coolest stuff comes from when you have two people who maybe aren't as experienced or just like really hungry for it and just trying it out. And I think that's probably where like the most interesting stuff comes from half the time, is people who don't really know what they're doing and making it up as you go along, because then you get something that feels a bit less like prescriptive. So just take a chance on people, I think.
That's what we did. Because I mean, we obviously, neither of us had any experience, and then when we started filming the podcast like visually, we were like, I was like, I can't edit this anymore, this is horrific, I hate this. And I think we were like, can anyone edit? Like, we're expanding our team. And then we ended up just going for our friend Becky. And we were like, if you want to give it a go, try a couple episodes. If you hate it, if you don't get along with it, then you can stop. And now she's incredible. I've never known anyone to edit so fast. And it just like, it is so nice to grow and to learn new skills with your friends. 100%. And it feels more like, I think I would always feel proud of Blonde Vibrations, but I feel especially proud knowing that, you know, Jasmine was initially our friend and Becky was initially our friend, and it just feels like it really stays true to you. And I feel like that is something that you've held really close, regardless of kind of opportunities that have come your way.
100%. It really bonds you as well. And I think like a lot of people ask me, especially as like smaller artists, like people who are just starting. I mean, I've only been doing my project for like 4 years, but how like I managed to have the same band all the way through, and like how we managed to like stay as a unit, and people like show up, and even if they're not fucking getting paid anything half the time, like, and I think it's because we're mates and you show up for each other as friends. It's not just like a business relationship, and that makes touring so much more fun. It makes the whole process so much more fun when like you're actually invested in each other as people, not just like as someone you've hired to do a job for you. And I think like, your friends are talented. I mean, I wasn't friends with these guys until I started the project. I sort of became friends with them through the project just out of luck. Like, I needed some people, and I reached out to them on Instagram, like put up a story, and they all replied, and they were honestly like the first people that replied. I think I told you this story before.
Yeah, but it's really nice, because in our first interview we were talking about the band, and it's so nice that 2 years down the line you still have that kind of bond, like that's
an
so
appreciation.
Yeah.
Oh my god, like closer than ever. I think we're all like family now. It's really sweet.
Which is crazy to think, because you guys were so close then.
I know.
How
close. We'll be like a commune, like, looking after each other's kids or something at some point, I'm sure.
So then, having said all that, the fact that you did get the award, the Step Up one, how does that push forward what you are already pursuing? Like, how does it feel, taking all that into consideration, to then be recognised in a way like that as well?
I'm really grateful for it. I think it's no secret how like hard it is as an independent artist to like make ends meet and like be able to like pay for stuff, and even like touring, like you get these amazing opportunities, and then like sometimes it's really difficult to even be able to do them because of like how much it will cost. So like being able to have a bit of a buffer in terms of like being able to pay for a van and like all that extra stuff to like actually go out and like do the things that will push your career forward is why funds like Step Up are like so invaluable. Really grateful.
Yeah. In addition to funds like that, is there anything you think, like, we're not expecting to sit here and, you know, fix the music industry, but is there anything that you think would be like, I'd love to see this in the future to make, you know, starting out as a musician more accessible?
I think, like, honestly, more funding from, like, the government. And there's loads of places in, like, the Nordic countries. I think Norway have, like, a fund, like a government fund you can apply for, and it's, like, nowhere near as difficult to get as, like, PRS or, like, FAC. Like, they have loads more of it available. And it's basically just, like, some funding you can get if you're a young person interested in arts to, like, do stuff like that. And I think that really helps people like be able to do things if you have a little bit of money to pay for it. And I think the government could do more. The government would do nothing to help artists or like creative people. And I understand like it's not like healthcare, it's not anything like that, but the arts and music industry in the UK is like world famous, and I think it should be conserved, and I worry that it will get lost. So I think there is more that the government can be doing. And also I think just more stuff like venues, support for the small venues who are then going to support the small bands, so like people can have an organic journey through the music industry like I did. Like me and Ed were saying the other day, like we were about to play Kentish Town Forum in a couple of weeks with Alfie, and we will have played like literally every stage of venue in London, from like 50 cap to like 100, 150, 200, whatever. Like you do your little journey through these venues, and it's like on Guitar Hero when like the venues are getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
And
you know Guitar Hero where
you
start on like the really shitty like band thing, and then you end in the stadium when you go up through the levels. It feels a bit like that.
Yeah, it's very video game-esque. Like I can picture you guys at each stage of your career in a different venue. And every but
if those small venues aren't accessible, then there's not really anywhere for the like younger artists to start up, and then I think puts way more pressure on rising up through social media, which is so much harder to do, and I don't think it's anywhere near as sustainable, because you kind of need to have that experience of like doing the fucking toilet tours where you go play all the like tiny venues around and like back rooms of pubs to know how to put on a live show and stuff like that.
And that's where a lot of artists really find their sound. You know, that's where people really kind of materialise who they are as an artist, and I think that's why you can tell when specific musicians have had that experience and you have played those smaller rooms, so then when you go up you keep a part of that with you because you have done the stages and the steps.
Definitely. So we will get onto future projects later on in the interview, but the two current leading singles, Together and Mine, both out now. What made you choose these two singles to be released after Chaos and Commotion, and how did these assist in the transition between the two eras?
That's a good question. I wasn't really thinking that much about the transition between the two eras, to be honest. Like, Another Day in Paradise was written, the new project that's coming out next year was written very much like all in one go. It was a very all-encompassing piece of work to work on. Like, it just sort of consumed me. I worked on it for like a year. And I'm not going to lie, I wasn't thinking about any of my previous work at all when I made it.
Complete fresh start.
Yeah, I don't really... So I wasn't really thinking about that. Maybe I should have been. It was an interesting point. But I think, it was... Because it's like a true story, and it's very like personal project for me. So I think I was just sort of thinking about that. And in terms of Together and Mine being the first two singles to come out, I don't really know if there was that much strategy behind it, to be honest, in terms of like the narrative of the project. I think that Together we wanted to release during festival season because it's such like a festival banger. Mine is the song that comes after Together in the project, so that felt natural to sort of like start putting the pieces of the story together. I think Mine's quite a pivotal point in like the narrative of the project. All the songs before Mine, so Sticky, Hush, and Together are all like quite light-hearted. Whereas after Mine, it goes into like yearning and desperation, and then this project sort of travels. So, that was probably the reasoning behind it. But there wasn't that much thought that went into it, to be honest. It was more like which songs are going to be best for playing live over festival season. It was those two. So.
It's still a fair reason to release it.
Like, you don't need to have a big like
Profound
existential like this is exactly what happened. But it's interesting that you do say that this new project was a complete fresh start and you weren't majorly thinking about the past stuff, because I think something that you do so well is having such clear moments in your sonic landscape. And we were kind of thinking about how when we last spoke, you even said, so it's really on my mind because I listened to it so many times to transcribe it, but you even said, the boiler suits are all pink because of Strawberry Milkshake. And I think that's kind of its core explanation for like how you build your world and how you do get so wrapped up in it, and every part of it, when Big Talk came out, you had the phones on the ceiling and things like that, and you do that so well. And we were thinking about Together and the video for this, and you cited inspiration as Sims 2 and Arctic Monkeys, which we were like, that is the most like wild combination, but also so you. But like, what is your thought process to then combine those kind of things? Like, how do you take those steps of like this is how I want it to look. You know, at its basic level, I want everything to be pink because of Strawberry Milkshake. How do you then progress that to being like, I want it to be Sims 2 meets Arctic Monkeys?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't really know where it came from. It was a bit of like a... Honestly, I was being pushed by my label. They were like, you need to come up with the concept for this video, and I was like, fuck.
What is the wildest thing I can think of?
And I was just like, I feel like my best ideas are the ones that I haven't really had time to like overthink, because I'm very, very good at talking myself out of an idea. Like, I have an idea and I'm like, oh, this could be cool, and then like I'm like, actually no, like that's stupid. But like, if you don't have time to like second guess yourself, I think those are the best ideas half the time. So it was come up with in a bit of a rush, to be honest. The main idea that I had for it originally was the car, you know, the red car that's in there, because like you said before, and I'm really happy that you picked up on that, because like the world building and like all the stuff tying in together is like something I spend a lot of time on and something that I really care about. So the main thing in the Together video was supposed to be the car, the red Alpha. I wanted there to be like a vintage car in the video, because the like wider theme of Another Day in Paradise, like the little Easter eggs that appear in all the videos and all the artwork is cars, like Hot Wheels cars, or like other cars, Scale Electrics in the Mine video. And that's because Another Day in Paradise was mainly just like born, and like we're talking about the project like when we were in the car, like there was so much time spent with me and Ed last year just like in that little blue car, just like driving from down the country, like doing shows.
I love the visuals of that. Like, you guys just there like, so what should the project be about?
I know, honestly, like we spent so much time talking about it and just like listening to the demos over and over again, and a lot of the songs, because we were writing it like as we were living, a lot of the songs reference just like car themed, and it's like thing that I noticed. So I was like, cool, this feels like it's my car era. But then the I don't know how I thought about the Arctic Monkeys thing. Fluorescent Adolescent is like one of my favourite music videos ever, and I love that it's like really chaotic and doesn't really make that much sense, but it's still got like that nice, like quite a sweet theme running through it. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, like it's the Alex Turner and then the clown, and they're like beating each other up, but then they were actually like childhood friends, and I thought that was quite sweet, like for it to be like a really weird and like chaotic video. I felt that it matched the vibe of the song, but then it kind of wants to have some sort of meaning flowing through it, and that's where the bunny thing came in, because the song's about like being in a relationship and wanting more from the relationship, like you're mates with someone but you want to be more than that, and the bunny thing came from sort of that feeling of like loneliness, like, you know, when you're in a relationship and it's not really serving you the way you want it to serve it, and you just sort of feel a bit like alone with your feelings. And do you guys play Sims 2? Sims 2 enjoyers?
She's been waiting. Like on hit Sims 2.
Yeah. Underline, highlight. So you know when your sim gets lonely and then the social bunny comes. So that's where that came from. So that's sort of like the representation of loneliness is the bunny, but like you're just like hanging out, having a good time, because that's what happens in Sims.
I made my own Sim depressed last year.
So that the bunny would come.
I was on Sims 4 this time, and I hadn't played it before, and there was all these new emotions that I didn't know about, and suddenly it was like, because I'd named her LZ, I think. It was me, and it was like, she can't get out of bed, she's too sad. And I was like, oh, I really am sorry.
Like, I'm playing this to escape my real life. Like, please don't do this.
Sorry, I didn't know.
Yeah, the bunny doesn't come in 4.
No, I don't know. They get rid of the good things.
I don't know why, because they got rid of the other good thing from that season as well. I can't remember what it was, but it was something else. It was...
They got rid
Grim
of
Reaper? Does that still come?
I think that still comes, but you can't be burgled anymore.
No, that was...
I love that.
That was so scary.
I loved that. God,
This is actually related to The Sims. What traits would you give your Sims character?
Oh my god, what are the traits? I always do... What are they? Loves dogs. I always do that one. I don't know. Always do that one. Loves dogs. I always do greedy. And what's the other one? I think like family oriented. I think
that's a good
the other one. Because then your Sims are like, you know, they want to do the best for their family. But also I love my family, and I think like that's even like obviously my real family, but like band family as well. Like always got to look out for the people who care about you, because yeah, it's important.
So we've spoken about Together, so we kind of want to move over to mine, which is nice that you've said about the whole kind of transition of it on the track list, because that's kind of how we were visualising it when we were writing the questions as well, is that it does feel like quite a vulnerable song, but it's not necessarily new for you to take a more vulnerable approach. You obviously have songs like By the Way, and so it's not necessarily that you've taken a new approach, but what we're kind of interested in is how you feel that your storytelling has evolved as your career's kind of progressed, and whether you can draw any parallels between when you're writing more vulnerable songs, say like a year or 2 years ago, to how you then approach it now. I don't know if there's like another song that you could sub in that works. You obviously can.
I think I've now, as a rule of thumb, like, when the whole project comes out and people listen to it cover to cover, it's all very similar to mine and Together. Like Together is maybe a little bit more like lighthearted in a sense, but like it's quite a lot more vulnerable, like quite a lot more sincere. I think I found that when I was releasing music before, like the songs that seemed to connect with people the most, like Socks, By the Way, Big Talk to an extent, I guess, were all like written from a place of like extreme sincerity and like things that I really cared about. So I just sort of thought like, hey, like maybe I'll try just channel this into a whole project rather than just like a song off a project. I think before I used to just like lean on a lot of like sarcasm and irony and stuff, but I just didn't really feel like it suited the story of the project that I was writing, because it was like happening to me, like very all encompassing, like really personal. Like didn't really feel right to be like, I don't know, like jokey about it. Just didn't really fit. So I was like, it's my serious era, I guess. It's nice. I really enjoyed it, and I think it might be here to stay, the serious era.
We were talking about that actually when we were planning this, because we were kind of thinking like, obviously, you know, it feels weird to be like the old Sophie and the new Sophie. Like, I don't think it's as like clean cut as that, but we were kind of reflecting on, you know, your older stuff and the growth that you have had. And I don't think it's necessarily that the more light-hearted sarcasm isn't good songwriting, but it's more just like interesting to see you tackle bigger subject matter, and it seems like it is something that comes so natural to you, because even when you were kind of taking that more jokey side, there was still stories behind it. Like you weren't just there having a laugh, like there was still songwriting there. So I do think there are like quite a lot of parallels, but I'm excited to see this new, you know, linear process in this new project.
I don't know if I can quite like look you in the eye while saying this sentence.
Go on.
I think when we were planning it, we were like, oh yeah, that just sounds, word for word is just
And now that
stunning.
we're here,
I'm like, that's cringe.
You're happy to say it to her.
So hear me out.
I'm listening.
You didn't even put your foot into the classic indie scene. You entirely broke the door down and made it your own. That's actually not that bad when I say it. It's kind of sweet.
When I was reading on the page, I was like, oh. But we were like, yeah, like that.
That is not idiot. That's really sweet. I appreciate it.
But it
Thank
is
you.
true, especially when it's traditionally so like male dominated as well. You're constantly put next to iconic but male indie artists, Jamie T, Hard Life, Arctic Monkeys, Declan McKenna. But it feels like you're kind of pioneering a second wave of female indie artists, even incorporating, you know, like the bloke core and football elements into your sound and visuals, and also obviously the FIFA soundtrack. And
The way you said it under your breath.
obviously.
The thorn in my side.
And then also performing at Liam Gallagher's Malta Weekender.
Yes, that was
Insane.
very much a bloke core Saturday to me.
But do you feel any pressure to be associated with that whole male realm of things, or is it just like business as usual to you?
I don't really know. Like I've always been quite like, I don't really like the word tomboy, but I guess I always have been. Like I've grown up with brothers. I'm in a band of me and all boys. Like I don't feel like it's difficult for me to slot into that sort of environment. I don't know really. Like I think it's just me. I guess like it's not really something that I did intentionally.
Yeah.
I guess it's just like who I am as a person. Like, you never see me turn up to the fucking Brits in like a dress or whatever. But then I am like, what the hell do I wear? So yeah, I don't know. That I feel like that kind of thing is more like trickier for me to navigate, because it's easy to like dress scruffy like me and then just like pass it off as bloke or make it be like, it's cool. But yeah, I don't really know.
Like
I feel like I'm still figuring out like the other end of the spectrum, like if I have to do like editorial stuff or like I don't know, like award shows. Fingers crossed I'll go to an award show one day. Like that side of it, like playing with femininity and masculinity, like I'm not really sure where it fits.
You don't want to start like becoming something you're not, but you want to play around and have the freedom to do it if you want
because
to.
I do have like a feminine side, I think, but it's maybe not as like apparent. But I don't know, to be honest. I think I just want to do stuff that makes me feel like me. I think when I was younger and stuff, and like in school and in uni to a certain extent, like you just sort of dress to fit in with how everyone else looks. But I feel like now that I'm older and like living in London and then like doing this stuff which gives you a lot more freedom of expression in terms of what you wear, because you can get away with it. I feel like I've really managed to like hone in on like how I want to dress and like how I want to come across. But yeah, I don't really feel like intimidated or anything by being surrounded by boys in like my contemporaries. But I mean, there's loads of other like amazing young female indie artists that are coming through as well. The only time it's annoying was when you go to do a sound check and it's like the front of house engineer is maybe like a male, or like the engineers are men, and then they don't ask questions to me, they only ask boys. I'm like,
I hate that. I really do. Like I see it in like so often, and I'm just like, why though? Like, and it's kind of interesting that you say that, you know, it's very organic for you to fit into that sphere. But is it something that you notice, you know, when you look out to a crowd, do you notice the male heavy demographic? Like, as someone who, we don't do that, and I guess because our audience is so predominantly female, is it actually something that you would notice standing there? You're like, I do have a male heavy listener, or is it something that you don't really consider in day to day?
I think actually at shows it's more of an even split. So people who are actually coming to the shows, like my listenership on Spotify is quite male dominated, I think, because of the FIFA song that is like pulling in a lot of streams, and a lot of those people who've discovered that song because of like the listenership of FIFA are boys. But I think at shows it seems to be quite more of an even split, which I like. Like I like that both boys and girls can enjoy my music, they can all go together. Like I don't feel like my fan base is like unwelcoming to either gender. Like I feel like anyone who is anyone can, like SOFY, like boy, girl, non-binary, you're all welcome here. I would love to have more girlies in the fan base though. I really would, but it's nice to have the mix.
Yeah, well, we'll recruit some blondies for
Yeah.
you if we haven't
We'll find
already.
So where do you actually situate yourself within the female music scene then? If you feel quite at home around like the peers that are male, like, do you see yourself as a role model at all for other female artists kind of like on the rise? Or do you ever want to?
I would love to be a role model. I mean, I don't see myself as one necessarily, because I think I've still got a long way to go. And like, there's a lot of people that I look up to, and I wouldn't say that, but maybe I am. I don't know. I would, if I'm a role model, then that's great. I don't really know what I'd say to people who see me as a role model. Actually, the only thing I would say is just like, be yourself and be kind and nice to people, and just make stuff that you want to make and dress how you want to dress, and don't let outside influences dictate that for you.
And like, while we're talking about role models, are there any like female artists that you see as kind of a point of aspirations? Like, it doesn't necessarily need to be someone who you're like, wow, they're so big and famous, like I want to be like that one day. But you know, someone who like, it could be like a peer who you're like, yeah, that's something that I'd really want to incorporate. Or it can be, you know, a bigger artist who you're like, that's really inspirational.
I love CMAT. I'm obsessed with her. I think she's so cool. I've been like harping on about her.
She's been brought up a couple times today.
Yeah,
that is so
she's so
interesting.
cool. I think like she's a big inspiration for a lot of like young female artists, because she really just like does her own thing.
Yeah.
I've seen her live show. It's amazing. She has like really, like, she's gone through the ranks of like the small venues to bigger venues, like building an organic fan base, and I really respect her for that. And I think, yeah, she's just got such a unique voice as a songwriter, and like a unique style, and she doesn't really divert from that, and I think she's really cool.
Yeah. And whilst we're talking about inspiring women, we thought with this series that we could kind of start a thread that our guests can come in and name 1 or 2 female artists who they want to share the spotlight with. So who would you like to nominate for the Blonde Vibrations listeners to tune into next that we can get on here?
I nominate my friend Eden Rain. She is a songwriter, she's from Leeds. Been working with her on music and going to the pub with her, and she is a legend, and she's really talented, so everyone go and listen to Eden, please.
I love this question because it's such a like easy way for us to do research. I'm like, yes, please tell me all of your friends so that we can incorporate them into this new series.
So, and I know that you're excited about this bit, we are going to do Agony On style questions, because we do it on the show, as you guys might already know.
And I feel like we've been threatening you to be on a Champagne Whispers
This
for
has
ages.
been, like, I've been so gassed, get me in these
So
dilemmas.
this is your
It's
trial, that if you do well, maybe we'll get you on like a full-length
Please
Champagne
get me on a
Whispers
Champagne
episode.
Whispers. I would love that. I would love that.
So we've got one more relationshipy and then one more music related.
Okay.
So I'm freshly single and I have a crush on my best friend. How do I know if it's genuine feelings or if I'm leaning on the convenience of it?
It's a tricky one. I think she has a crush on her best friend. She's freshly single. I think you need to ask yourself, like, did you have any feelings for this person when you were with your ex? And if you did, then maybe it's not convenience. If you didn't, then it could be like, oh, like, I find this person really comforting. I'm single. You know, when you're single, like, you just like feel just like you're like chucked out into the depths of fucking nowhere, and it's everything's just like really scary and stuff, and you just feel like you want that comfort blanket. So I would maybe ask yourself if maybe that's what's going on, because it's easy to blur those lines. It's really easy to blur those lines. So maybe just take some time, like, and if you like still feel that same way about your best friend in a few months, so maybe it's something you could think about. But I think if you've just come out of a relationship, do you guys agree then? Take some time.
We always say, like, I feel like the phrase we always say is like, you need to do some like real like soul searching, like separate, you know, step away and be like, do I feel like this if it was, if you were in like a completely like blank scenario, would you still feel like that? And I feel like there's this idea, especially in like romantic relationships, that you need to just like dive in. If you feel that way, just follow your heart. And it's like, sometimes you don't have to, especially if it's something at stake, like a friendship.
I agree.
And like you're figuring out how that person feels as well, because you might have had this realization and you don't know, but what are you basing that off on the other end of things? Have they given you any sort of vibe? Because if so, they might be happy to wait. If they've waited this long, then they can wait a few more months until you're a little bit clearer.
We need more context. Can this person send it into
email him, please, and we'll do a spin-off. We'll just have consecutive episodes. Becky's gonna be like, please send me content of someone else.
And then secondly, I've been dreaming about being a musician my whole life, but I don't know where to start because I don't have connections or any prior experience. Plus I'm in a full-time job. Where can I find the time?
I think also firstly that was exactly my position 4 years ago. I was in a full-time job. I had no experience, didn't know how to do literally anything. All I knew was I wanted to make music and I didn't know how to do it. I was lucky because it was pandemic, so I had time. I got furloughed, so I had a bit of time to like do the very initial like, how do you write a song? And I bought a copy of Splice and I like put beats together on Splice and then like sang over it on GarageBand. Like if you have a Mac, then that's built into your laptop. I think there's other stuff that you can download for free if you're not on a Mac. And if you don't want to use Splice, you can just use like YouTube, like literally like type in, it's so fucking lame, but I literally just type in like Easy Life type beat and then like sing over it, sorry, Hard Life type beat.
I'm gonna get sued, Sophie.
And then sing over it, and it does take time, like it feels really cringe and really hard and like really like you don't know what you're doing at first. And I'm the kind of person who, if I don't know what I'm doing, I find it really frustrating. So the first few months of like me trying to like pull together some demos were frustrating and they were shit. but they start shit and then they get better. And I would say another piece of advice, if you don't feel like trying to produce stuff on your own is an option for you, because that's basically how I did it initially, was I made myself some really shit demos, sent them around to people, and then found like other producers to work with through those demos, and then we like polished them up or like made new demos and stuff like that. But if you don't feel like that's an option for you, then I would honestly just like go on Instagram, find some up and coming producers. You can do it through like seeing who like artists on like Fresh Finds or like other stuff on Spotify, or like artists that you like who maybe don't go for like a massive artist because their producer might be out of your budget, but like find another like-minded person, like an up and coming producer who wants to work with new artists, and just like go do some sessions, see what comes out. Like you'd be so surprised, people are so willing to work and like take a chance on you, and like everyone in the music industry that I found who's like coming up just loves music, just wants to work on music. So just like try and make those connections through Instagram and see how you get on, and upload to BBC Introducing. That is my number one. Upload your stuff to BBC Introducing because they're amazing.
I think it's really hard. I think that your advice there can be applied to anything that someone's trying to pursue. I think it's really hard to train yourself to be okay with being bad at something.
100%.
Whether it's anything, you know, whether it's like handling emotions, or whether it's a project, or whether, you know, it's school or work. I think it's really hard to be like, I can be bad at this and this is okay. You know, I can do a trial episode, and if it's bad, then it's bad. And I think it's something that I kind of find a lot in like my research, that I had so many people when I first started, and they were like, you need to like be nicer to like your past self. And I'd like sit there and I'd be like, that was rubbish. And they'd be like, but that was the best you could do in that moment, and you need to be okay with that. And it was something that like I like came home to listen. I was like, I've had an epiphany. I was like you do need to be nice to yourself, and you need to be okay with being not the best, because no one actually ever does start the best.
Well, it's the same with this. When we were a radio show, it was so crunchy. The audio would cut out all the time. People, because we just have like friends and family listening on the student radio.
People would be like, it's just silent.
Yeah, like, where is the sound gone? And we were like, I don't know. Just play a song over and over.
Now, I feel like it's a lot of just like trialing it out, faking it till you make it.
Fake it to make it is a good one.
Yeah.
And also like, don't be afraid if something takes time.
Yeah.
Like you're not gonna become the world's most successful podcaster, or like the world's most successful musician, or like even close to that overnight. Like there's no such thing as an overnight success. Like it just does take time, and the most sustainable things are built on time. So like what we were saying, this is very full circle. So like what we were saying at the very beginning of the episode, like you learn how to do things as you go, but then you know them, and you're way more like able to take control of something and take the reins on something, and have an understanding of how the industry works and how like the nitty-gritty stuff works, and that just, it means that your project will be so much more sustainable, and that can be applied to anything, I think. So just don't be afraid if something's going to take time. It'll be worth it. And that hard work is what then pays off. Like I always feel like when it takes us twice as long to start something as other people, it's like, but we know in and out what it is. You know, like with this, it took us 2 months to develop even an idea or even a space or anything. But now that we're like here, and I'm like looking at it, I'm like, those 2 months are worth it, because it does materialize. And like for a moment there, it was just like a whole lot of nothing, and it was just grasping straws, and it was being like, we're going to make something out of it, and it just makes something together. And it probably in like a year's time, this series will probably be something completely different and probably bigger or whatever. But it's like you still have to take those steps. Again, like the venues, you have to take the steps to get somewhere. And some steps are going to be smaller than others, but they're still worthy. Do you guys feel that way about, do you feel like, hopefully you feel proud of saying it's fucking sick?
Yeah, as soon as we stepped in earlier, I was like, oh my God, it's legit. Like,
I know you're telling me to like smell the flowers today, but you guys smelling the flowers.
Yeah, a good guy.
For people who are not watching the video, I'm pointing at the backdrop, which has gorgeous flowers drawn over it, and it just looks really cool in here.
Yeah.
And very you guys. And you should be so proud. I love it. And I love you both. Thank you for having me.
No, we did like a little intro this morning, and we kind of said like it feels very us, and it feels like a very like natural step for us to do this. I think, you know, we were looking at our old interviews with all of the, like, obviously the guys we've interviewed as well have been great, but we were looking at our girly interviews and we were like, this is our strong point. And I think we've built a really nice space here that people feel comfortable in doing that. And I think we wouldn't have had that if we didn't publicly fumble so many things.
You did not have any public
but like we did have
fumbles.
some like weird,
Flops.
yeah, like, you know, when we first started, like, if you scroll to the bottom of the Instagram, it's like, oh, like, you guys are trying.
Oh my
and
God,
I
yeah.
think
scroll to the bottom of anyone's Instagram, like, fucking
it's
hell.
like, and it's nice, and I think it makes a
Yeah.
nice space, and it's the same way that smaller artists will look up to you and be like, wow, Sophie was her own tour manager, so I can be my own tour manager. Do you know? And it's like now and then you see someone else doing it, and you're like, that's what I wish I had. I wish
Yeah.
I had someone to show. Like, we had no interview experience, and we sat down with, you were one of the first ones, and you just do it, and you start somewhere, and sometimes it just works out.
And then you become neighbours.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. But anyway, less about us.
Yeah.
Save it for the Champagne Whispers episode.
I'll be really upset if you don't invite me to do that now. Have I passed?
Yeah,
I think
so.
so.
I think you were really good at that. Like, I'm scared you're going to steal our job. Like, I'm scared I'm like going to come to like a meeting and you're just going to be walking out and be like, yeah, I just recorded like Sophie vibrations. And I'm like, oh, stole our brand.
Blonde by Sophie.
Yeah. But yeah, to kind of round it up and get back to why you're actually here, we want to talk about the new project, Another Day in Paradise, that's out next year. And we were kind of thinking, you're going to have so much promo in the next year that you're going to talk about it so much. So we thought of a fun little game,
Okay,
which is a
that
bit
sounds
rogue
good.
for us, but I also thought, you know,
I like games.
We can play.
Let's
Like,
do
we'll do some
yeah,
games.
where you can give us a phrase or feeling for each of the tracks yet to be released, which Liz actually formed. And I think it's because the song titles are so creatively vague
Okay,
that, like, I
yes.
have no idea what the emotion is going to be attached to this.
Oh, that's good. I've done my job. It's that I wanted to build a bit of like intrigue with this project, which is why I'm not giving too much away about like the storyline or whatever,
Yeah.
because I really want people to
Yeah.
actually go and listen to it from start to finish and work out for themselves.
Yeah.
But I can give you a vague feeling. That's fine. Let's go.
So a line from each of the tracks. Sticky.
So for sticky, it would be sticky in the thick of it, disaster at my fingertips.
Hush.
I don't have to speak because you said it. Let's just keep it hush.
Ooh, I love that. Desktop.
Cling to your composure. Call me when it's over. That's the. I like that one.
Pirates.
I'm not sure if I've got all the words today. Gave up searching, but you found them anyway.
Giant designs.
If that's as good as it gets, then it's fine by me.
Front seat honey.
Spend all the money on the big shop, baby. Buy something stupid just to feed it to the dog.
And floating forever.
Maybe we could kind of stick together, share my sweater, float like this forever.
Oh, that's
I
so
love
cute.
that. It's so like moments that I'm like, I feel so like fangirly in the corner. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited for this.
I'm so excited
I'm
for you
so
guys to hear it.
excited.
Yeah, I think it's really special. So hopefully everyone else does as well.
Amazing. Well, we're definitely excited for the new project. I just can't wait. Like, I'm going to be counting down the weeks. Like, and it's also my birth week that week.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's like, thanks for the birthday present.
You're so
This
welcome.
is all I wanted.
Celebrating Pisces season.
Yeah,
style.
absolutely.
Hey, it's a deep feeling project.
I was
so it's
about to say, it
perfect for
feels
you
like a
Pisces.
Pisces album.
Or you Pisces babies. Yeah,
I've
it was
been thinking it.
intentional. Yeah, I had no idea there was Pisces season that was coming out, but it's fate.
Well, thank you for being here with us.
Yeah, thanks for coming
Thank
back.
you for having me. I've been
Sticking
so excited for
around.
this.
Oh yeah, it's been a long time coming. I feel like we've been saying for like the past 2 years, like, we should do something, and it's just got us in the right place
Here
at
we
the
are.
right time.
But yeah, and thanks for tuning in.
Thanks guys.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you all very soon.
Bye.
Bye.